Today on the Fresh Brew Run Club, I'm giving my 300-mile review of the Nike ZoomX Invincible. Welcome back to the Fresh Brew Run Club. So for today's video, I'm going to give my review of the Nike ZoomX Invincible after 300 miles. So I've given a review, my initial reaction to this shoe, and then also a review after 100 miles. But now I have officially run 300 miles in this shoe, so I want to give a review really focusing on durability. If you want a more in-depth look at, just overall how I feel about the shoe, I think check out the 100-mile review. I'll link that in the description below. But for the purposes of this video, I just want to talk about the durability, how it feels after 300 miles. Is it a shoe that is worth it? Because it is a little bit of a pricey shoe. Just give my overall review, and hopefully if you're thinking about getting this shoe, I can help make up your mind. So I think one of the first things with this shoe is to really consider exactly what this shoe is for. So this is a shoe specifically built for your long runs, your easy runs, getting in mileage, not trying to break speed records. If you're looking for a fast shoe, something that you want to take in a race or on the track, this is not it. And I think some of the initial reviews that I saw were kind of critical because it's too heavy, it's not a very fast shoe. That's not what this is designed for. This is a shoe that you're going to want to take out on those long runs where you're going a little bit slower. There's a lot of cushion for your feet. It's a wider shoe, so it offered a surprising amount of stability. I'll get into that in a second. But so if you're looking for a shoe that's going to help you set your PR in a race, probably not the shoe that you want to buy. However, this is a great shoe if you're just looking to get in some mileage, get those long runs. Make sure you're not going too fast, keeping that heart rate nice and steady as you run 6, 8, 10, 12 plus miles. This is an awesome shoe for that. So when looking at the actual shoe itself, one of the biggest things that stands out to me is just the bulkiness and the weight. It's a big shoe. There's a lot to it. It's very wide. They have this ZoomX foam that goes around the entire midsole. It's very thick, it's chunky, it's heavy. Now that could be a negative for a lot of people, but for me, the padding and the cushioning and just the feel of this shoe when you're running well outweighs any kind of weight that you have. And again, it's for slower runs. So it isn't super noticeable for me. I haven't run in this shoe and thought, wow, I wish this was lighter. So the other thing I noticed right out of the box in my first run with this shoe was just sort of the shape of it, where it's kind of curved a little bit this way. So when you're running, you just kind of roll through the toe, which is really cool. And it's something that you see in a lot of the carbon fiber plated shoes where there's a plate in it that is kind of bent and springs you forward. This has the same feel to it. Obviously not as intense because there is no carbon fiber or nylon plate in this shoe. It's just the shape of the foam. But it's a really unique experience. I haven't felt that in many other daily trainers that I've run in before. It's been 300 miles. I've run about 315 miles at this point in this shoe, and it hasn't broken down a ton. I'm sure there's not quite as much spring with that toe roll motion that there used to be when I first started, but I don't feel like this shoe is breaking down. And that was one thing that I was really nervous about, was the durability of this shoe. So I'm a heel striker. You can see from all the slow motion video. I may try to adjust my stride over the winter. We'll see. I don't know. But I heel strike. So one of the things that happens with almost all of my shoes is I will wear down the outside heel area first. And that is definitely the case with these shoes. However, the rubber on the bottom of these shoes is extremely durable and extremely thick. So 300 plus miles, I have not burned through the rubber and gotten to the ZoomX foam yet, which is something that I can't say for the regular Nike Pegasus, the Pegasus Turbo, which until I ran in this shoe, that was my favorite shoe. After about 100 miles, I'll get through the actual rubber on the bottom of many shoes. This shoe, not the case at all. It's super durable. It has these cleats that kind of offer a little bit of grip, but also I think they help to make the actual rubber last a little bit longer. So 300 plus miles in this, and I have not worn through these on any point of the sole of this shoe, which I think is fantastic. And then the ZoomX foam itself. So this is completely made out of ZoomX foam. I was a little bit nervous how is this going to hold up after 100, 200, 300 miles. It's holding up really well. It hasn't totally collapsed or crunched down. There's definitely been some compression of this foam here, but for the most part, I think it's held up fantastic. When I run in it, I don't feel like this shoe is at the end of its life. I could probably get at least 100 miles, maybe 200 more miles out of this shoe. It feels very springy, it feels cushiony, you know, it doesn't have that flat, dead shoe feel that oftentimes you start to feel around the 300 mile mark. So, you know, really happy with the durability of this actual shoe. The other thing I mentioned in the first review of my shoe, which I believe I reviewed it in the spring, so it was a little bit cooler in Michigan. I was a little concerned about just the lack of ventilation on this shoe. And it is a thing. As the weather has gotten warmer, we've had some really hot weeks lately. It's definitely not a cool shoe, temperature-wise. There's really no ventilation. It's this fly knit, very tight weave. The laces are thick. The heel collar is very thick. The tongue is pretty thick. Like, there's just a lot of thicker materials on it. So if you're really concerned about, you know, your feet getting too hot, keep an eye out for this. I also have the black colorway of this shoe, which, you know, certainly doesn't help with attracting heat. So I think if Nike does end up making an Invincible 2, I think one of the most obvious improvements that they'll make is adding some ventilation to the top of the shoe. I'm gonna make a full video around my predictions for what an Invincible 2 might actually look like, but I would really expect some additional ventilation because it does run a little bit hot, especially in the summer, in the heat and humidity. And then the final thing I want to talk about is just how much fun I'm having running in this shoe. It's super comfortable. When I put it on in the morning and go for my run, like it really feels like you're putting your feet on a couch. And sometimes with these ultra cushioned shoes, they don't have a ton of stability. You know, you might develop shin splints. Like, there can be a lot of problems where it might feel good if you're walking around in it, but when you're actually running and, you know, really coming in contact with pavement, things can start to break down a little bit. I don't feel that at all, and I'm not exactly sure why. I think it might have to do with the width of the shoe. So the ZoomX foam isn't the most stable material, but the width more than makes up for it. I haven't had any issues with stability. All of the materials on this shoe are just really kind of bulky and beefy, and there's just a lot to it. So I think that is one reason why this shoe has held up so well, why when you put it on, it feels comfortable, and then it sort of holds that level of comfort while offering enough stability and enough protection to kind of keep your feet going for long distances. So with this shoe, like I said, I've had a ton of fun running in it. It's probably, and I gotta, you know, give it maybe another 100, 200 miles before I officially say this, it is probably gonna be my favorite running shoe to date. Sorry, Nike Pegasus Turbo, but I think this has pulled off the upset of the century and become my favorite running shoe. So I'm really excited to keep running in these. I think they have a lot of life in them, but just in case they don't, I did pick up a new pair. So I think I'm gonna make a video just comparing what does it feel like to run in the Invincible after like 350, 400 miles versus running in a brand new shoe, just to get a sense of exactly how much has this broken down over the mileage that I've run. But overall, I absolutely love this shoe. If you're looking for just a daily trainer that is gonna keep your feet comfortable for long runs, this is the shoe for you. So I definitely recommend this shoe. It is super comfortable. I love running in it. If you have any questions about this shoe, feel free to ask those in the comments below. I'll do my best to reply. I got a lot of great feedback on the last review I did, and a lot of people had either questions or had run in this shoe and liked it as well. I don't think I had a single person in the comments say that they didn't like this shoe. So definitely want to know how far people have been able to push this shoe. If there's anyone out there who's run 500 or 600 miles, I think that's awesome. I think this shoe is capable of taking on a lot more mileage, which is awesome for my bank account, but just really cool to have a shoe that is so dependable. So that's today's video. Thanks for watching. Subscribe if you haven't already. I'm gonna post a video tomorrow of the first in-person race that I've run since the pandemic started back in 2020. So I'm really looking forward to that, getting out there with other people and the crowds and just the spectacle that is a road race. So look out for that video. Subscribe so you don't miss it. Thanks for watching. Hope everyone has a great weekend.